Hello, hello. Here we are, right in the midst of this new moon energy and the shadow of the Mercury retrograde. Woo! That's how I'm feeling in all of this. Welcome, welcome. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like if this video resonates for you, if you find it helpful. We'll be using these oracle decks to divine and receive information that will help us to process and make the most of this Leo new moon energy. So, one of the things that's really present and feels relevant to share is that as we have completed this cycle of letting go with the full moon over the last couple of weeks, acknowledging what that has been for you and has it been subtle? If you're like, well, I haven't really let go anything, maybe check again. Maybe there are some very subtle signs and significant changes that have just not been given credit to. So that's something that I would invite you to take a look at, to just have enough space to reflect. And in that may empower this new moon movement as we are creating the new habits. And the new moon being in Leo, the sun being in Leo, all about the heart. We're still in a Venus retrograde, so relationships are they're really taking a hit, but it's not a negative thing. This is to push forward, push open the places where boundaries are leaky or where maybe boundaries have been too tight and where we just haven't been balanced in giving and receiving, and in all of these ways that we communicate, from the heart or maybe more from the head, and bringing both of those into harmony and coherence so that we are unified in the way that we're expressing, connecting, and finding intimacy in relationship, honesty in relationship. Richard Rudd of the Gene Keys, he says with the 59th gene key that has to do with honesty and intimacy, that really honesty is the greatest form of intimacy. And if you really think about that and the way that it applies maybe to some of the relationships you've had, you'll see that's very true. So there is this information about intimacy, connection, communication and honesty. Those go together. This is throat chakra stuff. How much are we holding back from ourselves? How much are we not being honest with ourselves? And therefore, we can't be honest in the exchanges that we're having in the world. Woo! A lot of energy already starting to come in. And so as the space is already open and this is a safe and powerful and protected container only aligned with truth, healing, and enlightenment for those that are receiving these messages, only the highest truth. Thank you. So what is at the top of the energy here? What is really coming forth in the collective and the individual? And I'm going to pull a few cards here. I have this first card as the Pleiades. It says, Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. So curious how that resonates with you just initially, like working more with just your intuition as these messages arrive to you. What's going on here? And I'll read from the book here shortly. Crown chakra. All right. So a lot of this Lionsgate energy, I have felt it integrating all of the light that came in over, really most of July. And we're still in a frame of time where we're we're being affected by that. Now, Mercury is starting to slow down. It's about to go retrograde at the end of the month. So that means there's going to be a natural slowness to the month. You know, if there's anything that needs to be completed, you may feel that compulsion, not in a negative way. You've got to watch for like the overdrive that we can do, but like the natural compulsion that says, hey, now is the time, complete your projects, do your work, you know, think ahead, do your schedule, because things will start to slow down. And one of the experiences that I've had with Mercury is that we start to get signs, you know, maybe a month leading up to it. Maybe it's just in between the whole retrograde season itself. You start to get signs. Like, let's say, for instance, your computer keeps popping up with a message about like you need to dump your trash or you need to upgrade some system, and you just like keep putting it off. Or maybe it's like the light in the car that keeps going off and you're like, I'll get it later. Okay, those are your signs that are whispers now. And you can almost guarantee during a Mercury retrograde, there's going to be a problem with it. It may completely go out on you. There's some message that is arriving about clear communication, about listening. What are your listening skills? Again, coming back to your throat chakra. Your throat chakra is connected with your ears. This is how we listen to ourselves as well as how we listen to the world around us and our intuition, listening to higher guidance. It's also the way that we express ourselves. Honestly, can we surrender to the intuition that leads us to express ourselves, or do we choose to edit, audit, and distort information out of our own thought processes that may come in and filter the way that the divine is wanting to use us as a conduit, or the divine is asking us, our intelligence is asking us to experience life authentically. So we have this double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. And then the pay attention to your ideas as they are messages of divine guidance sent in answers to your prayers. This is the crown chakra. That's how we communicate with spirit. This is how we broadcast what our desires and intentions are to God, universe, source. It's also how we receive that energetic impulse back. That's how we receive the information, the guidance of how we align ourselves with what we want to resonate with what we want to manifest and create or experience. And then we have the patience card. I accept that everything happens in divine order. As I say that, I can feel that as everything begins to slow down, and with this new moon energy, that things that you expected to happen may change. Suddenly, maybe subtly, and the question is, how do you react to that? Do you react to it, or do you respond to it? Where does your mind go when things don't go according to plan? Where does your mind go when your expectations aren't met? How does that trigger you? And can you implement patience and trust in the divine timing of all things? I've had a couple of fires to put out in the last couple of days, and this has really been good medicine for me, both in seeing how far I've come from being reactive and, just like going into this drama of everything's falling apart, or like getting really hyper vigilant about the situation and hyperactive and just very sensitive about it. And what I got to experience this time was like, there was like a little bit of initial shock, kind of like, oh, things aren't happening the way that I thought they would. And then it was oh yeah, but the universe, God loves me. And so things are getting redirected in a way that is more supportive. And I believe that, I trust that it's really working its way out, because I don't have the omnipotence and the omniscience to know what the future holds. But God does, Source does, Creator does. So I can trust that. I can trust that when things start to shift and change, it doesn't mean I've done anything wrong, but it does mean that I need to listen, that I need to stop and go, okay, wait. Okay, something's working in my favor. How is it redirecting me? What is it here to show me? Just like this card says, listen for those messages because it could be an answer to your prayers. And yeah, I don't feel like this is something that is just personal to me. I do feel that this is a collective experience, and I'm having a lot of trouble finding the page for this card. So let me know how that sits with you. Have you already experienced that? So the Pleiadians are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technologies. They have been incarnating on Earth since near the beginning of humanity. You are a soul who has a double mission: to grow at a soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. If you have been called to write, speak, or channel throat chakra again, this is your sign to keep doing it. Your work is divinely guided. Of all of the souls, Pleiadians are the chattiest. And so perhaps you have already started channeling some of this work into the third dimension. Thank you for doing your part in the great plan. Your presence and unique light is needed. So it sounds like most of you who are receiving this message, that might be some of your, let's just call it lineage, that you're here to probably be a light worker to some capacity. And in saying that, what I mean is going through the evolutionary steps that allow you to be high vibration, light, and in that be able to influence the world around you, influence our world. You know, just paraphrasing what that said. And let's just keep going. Let's reference another deck here. And I've already pre-shuffled these, like I always pre-shuffle, but sometimes people like to see that. I'm just not going to do that. It takes up too much time. I don't need to do it in front of the camera. So just so you know, that is a part of the preparation for me, is to always pre-shuffle. We have the Andean cross at the center. We have the sacrifice and the heart of the sky. And the Andean cross it brings in a couple of things. You know, the 4 directions, the 4 cycles of life. It represents the cosmology of the shaman. It depicts the 4 cardinal directions, the upper and lower worlds, and the steps to reach these realms. The hole in the center is a gateway to interdimensional travel, the proverbial eye of the needle we can all go through to experience higher states of awareness and wisdom, and to break free of linear time. The invitation with this card is that the Andean cross announces the start to a great new journey. It's time to raise your gaze from the mundane day-to-day to that which until now has seemed beyond your grasp. Allow new wisdom to guide you, and stop trying to make sense of it all before you respond with a resounding yes. Be bold in your actions that you take now. It will require tremendous effort on your part if you wait too long. Just as important to knowing when to act is knowing when to return to your inner stillness and wait for more favorable times. So, yeah, okay, this patience card, though, here on its right side and the crown chakra on the left, this is about any of the places that you feel like you've got to hurry and make a decision, something that is pressing. The only way that you are going to make a decision that is in the highest good is if you really take time to create sacred space and to slow down and not use your mind to try to figure it out. You go to God. You go to your higher self. You use wisdom rather than trying to work it out in the process. You connect with your heart. Your heart will tell you if what your brain is saying is true. If your feelings are aligned with the thoughts, that's how we broadcast. That's how we make impact. That's how we make change and shift in our own energy field, as well as in communication with others. So the heart of the sky offers us this. It is the love force that made all creation. This same force is present when you create with originality, when you bring formlessness to form or inspired ideas to expression. This primeval force does not know good or bad. It is up to us to provide the clear intention that will guide it to manifest. The heart of the sky brings you a sacred reminder that you are a channel for the original energy of creation. Become the paintbrush, the canvas, and the artist, all guided by the heart of the sky. Set your intention ethically and clearly and allow the universe to take care of the details. And this also offers some insight around feeling like if you're responsible for everything, if you feel like you've got to do it alone, to just be mindful of how that makes you feel and like where that takes you. Does that take you into a dark place? And to shed that sense of duty, to shed like the weight of carrying the world on your shoulders. You can open the door and set yourself free in an instant by realizing that you've created your own prison. A big turning point for me that feels applicable in this way is when I realized that I had a trauma response from raising a young child on my own without family close by and everything just being dependent on me in every way. That I had created this trauma response of if I don't finish these things, the world's going to fall apart. I'm going to suffer. And so I had like this real rigid way of holding myself and like real rigid standards that were actually causing a lot of suffering for me and then, for the people around me. And it was a huge realization when I was like, I started the practice of in the moment going, is this absolutely necessary? Or is life trying to ask me to do something else? If I feel really restricted and really annoyed and really frustrated, it's a good signal to me that not only do I need to take a break and reevaluate and listen, but maybe life is wanting me to do something else. And in doing something else, I may get clarity about the other thing, or the other thing may just work itself out. That's what I found really helpful for me. And if you have another way of meeting that, of like explaining how that relates to you, I'd love to hear it. Drop it in the comments. The sacrifice. The sacrifice means to make sacred. It is an offering of gratitude made from the heart, a feast of love prepared for spirit. The sacrifice asks that you offer to Spirit that which is most precious to you. Your offering will be sanctified and returned tenfold. You will be elevated to the altar at which you have been praying and meeting the divine at the table with heavenly feast. You are a welcome guest in this banquet. Your heart is the only worthy offering you can bring. Life has been generous with you in so many ways. And the medicine of this card says, what is the one person or thing that you feel you cannot live without? It is time to offer it all to Spirit so that it may unfold as it will. Do not cling to the old form or allow your sacrifice to weigh heavily upon you. You have sacrificed yourself and your dreams for far too long. Now is the time to rededicate yourself to the journey. When you make sacred, you open the doors to infinite wealth Do not delay. Just a really easy analogy for that is, if you love something, let it go, right? It will come back if it's meant to be. So where are you maybe still holding on to some person or some relationship, the way that you handle money, the way that you handle responsibility, you and your work, you and family? Like, where can you sacrifice and give your heart back to God, where you have allowed fear to confine you and your beloved, to confine you and your potential? What are you willing to sacrifice and let go of in order to grow to your highest potential? Because it's very likely that some of you have been getting direction and guidance to step into the unknown in a really big way, to leave something behind that has given you a sense of stability. And here's what is true. The only true sense of stability comes from your relationship with Spirit. And it doesn't deny that there aren't real world needs that keep us safe. But ultimately, it has to come from within. You have to create that internal space, that internal trust that all is working its way out, all is working for you. And developing your deep listening skills are so valuable right now. So I'm reviewing the whole reading here. Part of this letting go that you may have been in or you're in is about your life purpose fulfillment, about you stepping more into that role, about you trusting your higher self, you trusting your angels, you trusting your guidance, you trusting the universe to keep delivering you the next step and the next step, even though your eyes may be blind, even though you may not see the way. Your heart knows. Your heart can see the way. And so as we're in the Leo season, we choose the Andean cross. We choose this place that is really outside of time and space. That is a balance. That's what I'm getting to here, is like, look at what's taking you out of balance. Is there a sacrifice that can be made? Not because you're restricting yourself. This is something like I really want to emphasize. When we fast, the intention should be to get clear with God, to become more clear with ourself and our connection with Spirit. That is what allows transformation to occur, and it's what allows rapid transformation to occur when we do fasting. It's one of the reasons we get so clear, is because we are focused on and serving and sacrificing for our relationship with God, with Spirit, with self. It is a practice of self-love that I want that so much. I am willing to let go of my human desires. And so that comes back to you. You are granted lots and lots of grace when you choose that, when you choose to align your will with God's will, your will, thy will. So I hope this reading was beneficial for you. Would love to hear any way that you may have felt this connect and resonate. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, so that other people can also receive the medicine that comes through these transmissions. And I'm so deeply, deeply grateful for all of you here on this channel, those that support me. I always love reading your messages. So thank you for sharing and many, many blessings with this Leo new moon. And until we meet again, keep it pure and stay simple. Pura vida.